I mean, look at other types of functions. So again, we're not going to just stick with the realm of all these polynomials. We're going to create maybe new functions, or most importantly, the piecewise functions. Okay. So when we look at some of these techniques, we have a problem where when we plug in a value, it may not work. And the two cases we come down to are these, where we can say that f of a is defined, but it's not equal to the limit, which I have illustrated in this case here. I have some function, and notice at this point a, it is definitely not defined on the curve, but it is defined in the actual function as a piecewise curve. Okay. We have problems trying to solve these analytically, and that's where we have to do maybe an additional work for it. Okay. Another case that must be problems where, let's just say f of a is not defined at all, meaning I have the same graph, but I don't have it marked anywhere on this figure. Okay. So how can we deal with some of these types of curves here? It comes down to recognizing a particular form for limits. I'm going to write it down here. Okay. When we take the limit of some function, and it doesn't matter, we'll just put it as a rational for now. If I end up with something like this, I want us to just know this end result. It does not mean 0. It does not mean it's undefined. Remember, as a limit, this means for a limit, we never say it equals it unless we're given some other conditions. So for this particular form, we call this an indeterminate. It's a form that has multiple expressions for this f of x and g of x here, okay? We're not going to go through those until maybe chapter 4 or 5, I believe, but if you take this direction where you plug in the value of a into your function and end up with this result, this is your indication to solve these problems using some factoring tools. I'll say methods instead. Or conjugation methods. And as you've seen before, factoring will only work for polynomials. Conjugation is where I want to eliminate the radicals. Some square roots, okay? So that's your first step for this technique, is recognizing this particular form and using any appropriate means to simplify it. Okay? So I may have time to finish just one. I think I'll finish both of these two problems and we'll finish the rest on Monday. And I did break this apart to be a 2-day lesson, so I was good with that. So let's look at these examples and see what I mean by using those methods here. First step, approaching a number, instinct tells us I plug it in, right? So I'm going to substitute that 2 in my limit. And I'm going to be left with what? If I plug it in, I have 4 minus 12 plus 8 over 4 minus 4, right? But notice that gives me that 0 over 0. Y'all agree with that, right? That's the form that we have to just be aware of, okay? So when I have this 0 over 0, it's not your answer. You have to do something more. You have to do another type of rewrite. So if I look at this function, it's polynomials. I know that's a rational function, but can I factor one or both of those expressions? You can, right? So I'm going to use a factoring method. And again, you can factor one or both, or doesn't matter, okay? But I'm going to factor just, I'll write the whole thing since I have time. I am going to factor the top into what? Into my x minus 2 and x plus minus 4. For a limit, we never say it equals. And then I'll factor the bottom as what? X minus 2, x plus 4, right? And notice from here, I'm supposed to pick what? Well, thank you. I was gonna get there. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so notice from here, I can simplify this now, right? I can actually eliminate these x minus 2's, right? So I'm able to rewrite our original rational expression into a simplified form. And I'm just gonna evaluate it for the remaining pieces. So what happens when I plug this in? I'm gonna be left with a value of what looks like a -2/4. But of course, simplify it further, end up with a -1/2. Do y'all agree with that now? Okay. So now, I was able to simplify and reduce this expression down. Okay. In the end, we describe this as what we call a removable piece. I was able to remove part of it already. Okay. But look at that.
The A's one, yeah. Okay, I read that.
The soccer?
Yeah.
Yeah, more people are watching soccer than playing.
No.
Like kids or like young adults. They're watching play.
More people watch something. Honestly, I was worried about the A's one, but when I did click on the module or whatever, there was some. Yeah, yeah.
Was your friend sitting here? I think so. So, yeah, I'm not even. And if you need to fill it. I mean, you can sit this one.
Conversation with the candidates.